Now that you have your question, you know what types of sources are out there and how to evaluate them. We can consider how we'll set up our search. So here's the question we're working with. What are the social and emotional effects of social media use on children and adolescents? I've highlighted the words that carry the real meaning of the question. They are social, emotional, social media, children, and adolescents. You should do the same with your research question. Consider what words are carrying the meaning. These will be the words we use to create our search. But I can guarantee that the words you've selected are not the only words that you could use to search. There are synonyms that others might be using to talk about the same topic. There are also broader and narrower words. By taking a little time to consider what words other people might be using, we can set up a search that will incorporate all of those sources. The goal is that we want to search for each concept, not each vocabulary word. Let's take a look. Here we have our words. I've batched a few of them because I think they help us understand the concepts we're looking for. We have social and emotional, social media, and children and adolescents. From there, let's think of some words that are broader and some that are narrower for each of our concepts. Here we have our words. Social and emotional might mean health generally, or perhaps the culture we're in. More specifically, we might be talking about mental health, bullying, or friendship. You'll see that some of these are slightly different in their meaning, not just broader and narrower. That's okay. We're trying to get at the overall concept. When we do our search, we'll be relying on computers that may not understand that the phrase mental health is similar enough to our search to include it in the results, and we could miss out on that source even if it's really helpful. Social media could be about the internet generally, or it might be a specific platform. Children and adolescents could be as broad as people generally, or it might mean babies. As a synonym, we could use kids or young people. This is what an advanced search looks like in most of the library's databases. It has 3 search bars by default, and more can be added if we need. It also has a box in between each search bar, and that gives us the option to select the word and or the word or. But don't worry, there's a method to all of this. We're going to use one search bar for each concept we have. Each concept will have its own bar. We'll have one to talk about social and emotional effects, one about social media, and one about children and adolescents. Now, about those and or words. These are what we call booleans, and you can think of them as a Venn diagram. Using the word or means that either concept can appear in each result we get. In fact, both concepts could appear, but either one can. Using the word and means that both concepts must appear in every search result. There's even a third word that we can use, not. That means that we could include a word that may not appear in any search result. That's a little confusing, so let's take an example. Here we have one circle for people who like cats but don't like dogs. They live in that circle on the left. Then on the right, we have a circle for people who like dogs but not cats. In the middle, we have people who like both cats and dogs. So our circles on the left and right are our or. We can search for people who like cats or who like dogs, and we'll include all of those people who like one or the other. We'll even include people who like both because they like at least one of them. Or helps us broaden our search by allowing for any of these people to show up in our search results. If we use and, we're limiting ourselves to that middle portion. We only want to find people who like cats and dogs. In this instance, we might also use not. That's people who like birds. Maybe they like cats, maybe they like dogs, but they also like birds, and we do not want to include them in our results. Therefore, we can use not to exclude anyone who likes birds. Here, we're searching for people who like cats and dogs, but definitely not birds. We'll only find people in that middle section who like both cats and dogs, but not birds. Here we're looking for people who like cats, or who like dogs, or both, but definitely not birds. And here they are, everyone who falls into those circles, including the middle section. We continue to exclude people who like birds. Let's now look at these words to set up our search. Same search bars, new search terms. I'm using the top bar to search for the concept of social or emotional, and I've included all of those synonyms that we thought of. I put or in between each one of them, so any one of them can appear. I've put and between concepts, so all concepts must appear in every search result, though any vocabulary word within each concept can appear. The second bar is searching for social media, and it could use the phrase social media, or it can use the other social media words. The third search bar is for children, but any of those words to describe this age group can work for getting us to that concept. You don't have to use and in between the concepts and or between the words, but this is a method that I recommend for making your search as broad as possible to get at your concepts, but narrow enough to find relevant materials that talk about all of your concepts. You'll definitely need to adjust your search as you go. You might need to remove a concept from one search and look for that information separately. You might need to use or between concepts to get enough results. You might find that some vocabulary words are just not getting you good results and decide not to use that one at all. So here's another search for the same information. This time, I'm looking at the negative effects specifically in a few social media platforms, and I'm looking at adolescents who are more middle school age. This is one way to adjust your search. I'm really asking the question, what are the harmful effects of TikTok and Instagram on middle schoolers? That's a much more specific question than my overall research question, but it might help me get at information in a little different way. Here are two more sets of examples. In one set of searches, I can look at positive outcomes of social media generally, negative outcomes from social media, and then any outcome from social media. In the next set of searches, I can look at outcomes from Facebook, then outcomes from Instagram, and then outcomes from TikTok. I may do all 6 of these searches in order to answer my original question about the effects of social media. What we're doing is using accuracy and precision to our advantage. Accuracy is hitting the bullseye, while precision is getting to the same spot every time. So if I get the bullseye every time, I'm both accurate and precise. If I'm near the bullseye, but not super consistent, I'm accurate, but not precise. If I'm off to the side consistently, I'm precise, but not accurate. And if I'm just all over the place, I'm neither accurate nor precise. In a way, we're trying to use the first 3 in order to get the information we need, but try some different approaches to make sure that we're really getting all of the helpful information we can. If our search is too narrow and precise, we'll miss some material that's a little out of left field but still has helpful information within it that's relevant to us. By using those booleans, and, or, and not, and a good set of vocabulary words, we can use the diversity of our topic to our advantage, while making sure we're getting to the core of what we really need. We'll try to avoid being neither accurate nor precise, as that makes it very hard to sift through the results to find the one good source in there.